All right, the War Within pre-expansion patch launches July 23rd, huh? Okay, so, are we hyped? No? Maybe? Yes? Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, it's Soul, and this is Warcraft Weekly with all the excitement, but none of the outward energy. Like, this is how I feel inside, but what you get is, it's this. But anyway, you can help support the channel by liking this video, subscribing for more coverage, and catching me live on Twitch. As the fourth phase of Season of Discovery is being discovered, Blizzard hit the world with news that we already knew. In less than 10 days, the War Within pre-expansion patch is going to drop, bringing to us a pretty long list of stuff. So right now, I'm going to present to you a very abridged version of that list with a singular purpose to try and excite you over what's to come. Don't go yet. I mean, yeah, you've seen maybe like 50 of these everything that's coming in the pre-patch kind of videos, but how about one more recap? Pants are going away. I might as well start off strong here. When you first log in, you can transmog your pants away, fulfilling all of your dreams of transmogging as yourself playing World of Warcraft. But for pants lovers and transmog lovers everywhere, you'll be able to collect transmog regardless of the armor or weapon type on your current character. I have a few thousand pieces of transmog written in my mailbox, and when I log in, I'm gonna sit at that mailbox and I will have a moment I will never have again. Mass unlocks. Scrolling down my chat log, yeah, you just learned one of my fetishes, and I don't apologize for it. On a more serious note though, transmog unlocks are almost fully unleashed. You can even start buying up stuff from the Shadowlands Renown vendors and unlock stuff there. The only known restrictions so far come from gear that is class specific. That gear tokens, those are fine, but the direct gear drops that we get from vanilla and other raids like the Tomb of Sargeras, we're still out of luck, and hopefully that'll change soon. The first thing we should really expect from the patch though is absolute mayhem. Everything's gonna break under the weight of what is a huge system patch with changes that'll redefine WoW, just like with Dragonflight and the return of talent trees and UI changes. Now think about it, after this patch, people from other servers can join your guild, and you can, hopefully search for guilds across the entire region to join. Those days of, okay guys, I'm gonna blow a whole bunch of money or gold and, start transferring characters over to the new server, yeah, there's no more of that. The chance of the right people connecting with the right groups, it's gonna go up. It's not going to be like an easy search, but there's a renewed opportunity to make that search, and that means something for the MMO culture. Of course, it's also easier to leave your guild in search of a better experience. There's a kind of give and take. Like, I often say that my guild is an open door, but with this cross-realm guild thing, it's probably going to change. I need to make sure that I don't let the culture that I built up with these people around me get overrun. A long-running guild isn't just big population numbers, it's a family. It's a non-physical family, but I've learned what happens when I focus on just getting people as opposed to getting the right people. It's an exciting and scary change that we should handle carefully. My random mount button is going to work real good again with nearly every mount capable of dragon riding, or it's going to be called Skyriding going forward. By the way, Skyriding can be learned at level 10 now, which is like, oh hey, okay, that's just what people asked for. Let people be free, I guess, but this is also a natural change, considering that Dragonflight is going to become the default leveling experience for people who are brand new to WoW. It's kind of weird though, we have this big faction-centric hype in Exile's Reach, followed by zero faction hype in Dragonflight, and hopefully these new folk won't notice. Back to Skyriding though, huge change that'll get some getting used to, because now we have lots of different mount types that can do it, and I'm willing to bet that for some, it's going to feel a little bit disorienting because it's not going to feel the same as it does on the dragons that we've been on for almost 2 years now. I do encourage folks to give lots of feedback so the team can improve the experience for everyone. We don't want these new Skyriding mounts to feel awkward, right? Warbands are another big door that's been opened and can't be closed. One of the first things that you might do is decide which of your 4 characters is going to be presented on your Warband camp screen. What's special here is that you can pull characters from different realms to be on this screen. Like here I have characters from 3 different realms. Meanwhile, the realm selection button is still there if you want to switch to someone off of your favorites list. It makes a lot of sense, especially knowing cross-realm guilds are going to be a thing. Like, it'd be kind of a pain in the ass to switch from one guild character to another one, and you'd have to change realms to do it. That's a lot of clicks. I mean, you still might have to do it, but the favorites list helps. In fact, with that in mind, I'd like to see a bigger favorites list, and then on top of that, who gets to be displayed on the screen, so just like have a separate section for each. But anyway, there's a lot more info available too. A quick mouse over lets you see your character's specialization, their professions, their gold count, and seasonal info. And here's something I really liked in Blizzard's preview article. They have, quote, more scenes planned for you to collect in the future. I already mentioned, hey dude, put the backdrop of the Battle for Lordaeron here, or how about the Auction House dance party, have that in the background, or maybe the Black Temple with all the debauchery going around. Like, seriously, there's no end to the possibilities. It just depends on how much we want to pressure them. Another day one thing, nearly all of your reputations and achievements are being smushed together. The immediate impact of account-wide rep is that virtually all of your characters will have max renown levels from Dragonflight if you've at least done it one time. So those characters can go around picking up specific rewards and bonuses. The way reputation is handled in the future is going to be a little bit different, but that's a future conversation and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But you can immediately start sucking up all them currencies across all of your characters. All you gotta do is get on your target character, open the currency sheet, select the currency that you want, and if it's eligible, you can select each alt to grab all them resources easy peasy. The Warband Bank, or the War Bank, is gonna be huge, but I'm also gonna try and talk it down a little bit because we're only in the pre-patch, and there's no doubt that some folks out there have it locked in their heads that they must have it fully unlocked, even if it means buying a whole bunch of WoW tokens, and please don't. The bank starts off as very affordable at like 1,000 gold for the first slot, 25 grand for the second, and 100 grand for the third. Okay, maybe that third one is a little bit expensive, I shouldn't assume. But what I want to tell you folks now, and pretty much every time I bring up the War Bank, is to not catch yourself buying so many slots and then, just to fill it up with garbage. To be fair, I am going to fill up at least one slot with nothing but Skyriding bolts, but I do intend to use it, I promise. You folks can do whatever you want, but I urge you to consider only using the War Bank to store items that you will actually share across multiple characters. So I'm talking about herbs and ore and other resources, maybe potions and consumables, although personally I think it's just easier to mail it off to all of my characters instead of having all of them run over to the bank. Now for your pros, the game is adding tags on tooltips to tell you if basically a reagent is from the current expansion or any of the older expansions. And the War Bank is adding a bunch of cool filtering features to make sure that if you want to mass transfer items, it's going to go to the place that you specify, keeping your bank fairly clean. The War Bank is one part storage, one part automated tool for sharing resources, and it's a bad idea to potentially clog it up with years old garbage that you're not even going to use. With proper use, we'll find that we don't need to use as much space as we think, and the people who do can probably afford like 10 or 20 slots. Here's some honorable mentions happening in the patch. It's probably a bad time to do it. In fact, I can't even test it on the PTR right now, so I can't say for sure, but you might be able to get started with adding a bunch more talent loadouts for your character. The number of available loadouts is increasing from 10 to 40 per character, making it much more reasonable for those characters who do all sorts of content across multiple specs. We're going to enter a sort of new era of trinkets. Tanks and healers who use DPS trinkets are going to find their effects nerfed by 1/3 after the patch. It's going to suck for now because it's been said that current trinkets are going to be affected, but the new generation of trinkets ought to feature some cool trinkets that healers can use that contribute damage with smart play. The spellbook is getting bigger. You can make it smaller too, but it's still bigger with 3 columns up from 2. You can clean it up more by hitting the checkbox and hiding passives. My favorite part of it though is the search bar. Like, what's the name of my mastery again? I don't remember, so just type in the word mastery and it'll show you, or you can search by description. Map icons have also underwent a huge change, but the most important addition is a legend to explain it all to you. I'm glad they put this in because otherwise I'd get super lost as heck. There are a lot more cool things that I'm sure I missed, and we'll cover things like the pre-patch event and more in our weekly Monday reminders, that way that info stays fresh in your mind. Now I want to give you folks my last update on the experiment that I did the other week, where I addressed the outcry over the War Within Pathfinder achievement. Now let me get you up to speed first. In the War Within, Skyriding is available just after completing one of the intro quests. However, Steady Flight with the hovering and everything, that won't be available until completing a Pathfinder achievement. That entails completing the campaigns in each zone and unlocking the map. It's hard to argue that it isn't much, but it's also missing the point. Critics simply don't like the fact fact that one kind of flying is available, but their favorite kind of flying is not. Now we can get into a whole thing on how Skyriding still keeps the player immersed in the world while steady flight breaks that immersion. We could keep going and say that steady flight equates to accessibility, or that we should be fair and all flying should be disabled without Pathfinder, and we'd be going in circles all day. So what I did was go through the leveling campaign without any flying at all, just me and Tyven and a long trail of bodies, so I can report to you the reality, the experience of what someone who would rather walk than skyride would have to actually go through. And here are the list of, I guess, issues that I ran into while questing. In the first zone of Dorn, I had a quest where I had to travel from the main city to like more than halfway across the zone in order to do a quest line and then come back. In fairness, on the way over, I picked up a nearby flight point here, so my return trip wasn't all that bad. In the second zone, the Ringing Deeps, there was a quest that asked me to drop leaflets, and at first I was like, okay, here it is, flying required, but when I mounted up, I started getting quest credit as if I was already flying around. Now this is the one campaign quest throughout this entire thing that even hinted that I should be flying around, and in its current state, it looks like I should be able to complete it without flying at all. In the third zone of Hellfall, I had to scale in elevation in order to get to a new area. Without flying, I had to use the map to locate a path and then go around a building to find this busted elevation and walk my way up. At one point, I completed a quest line in this area and had to return over here, so I took a flight point and walked the rest of the way, and I was treated to this very, very cool view. If I happened to miss all the flight points, I'd have to go down the main road around the zone. And finally, in order to fully unlock the map, I had to discover the Priory Dungeon. The only way there, without flying, is to hop onto an airship that makes a regular circuit around the zone. In the last zone of Ajkahet, there was one quest where some of the objectives were right above me on a platform a good ways up. I had to identify and work my way backwards to see a nearby path that took me through a cave and use the elevation to get to the objective. And that was basically it. Any other instance was either just very nearby or there was a friendly NPC ready to fly me wherever I needed to go. I have to disclose though, this was not a perfect test because it's the beta, and I was on what was considered an alt who didn't have to deal with level restrictions on quests. Even then, I completed the zone campaigns and discovered all the locations around level 78 or so and unlocked Pathfinder. Going through the final two zones, it actually only took me 3 hours of straight questing, but we should probably add another hour or two for, maybe some level grinding that I didn't have to do. I should also point out that this is not one of those, oh, it's because Soul plays as a tank sorts of experiences. My character was geared, but this was not the kind of playthrough where I was really running through tons of mobs in order to get to an objective and non-tanks would otherwise struggle. Outside of that leaflet thing, this leveling campaign was made for the ground first, for sure. I never really felt bad that I couldn't just hop onto a flying mount. Honestly, if you're not in a rush to get to max level and do the endgame thing in War Within, seriously, I really recommend doing the campaign once without any flying at all. It feels pretty good. And the truth is, we're not going to wait months and months for flying of any sort. We're not going to be it's really hard to gather and do world quests day after day for months and months, not knowing when flying will be available. And I know that's not the point, that it's just this principle of people have this and others do not. I've looked into it and I've showed you the most standout situations where I might feel remotely disadvantaged without flying. I don't mean to diminish the concerns, I just want to put some facts behind them. And that's the show. And as a content creator, currently working on the highlights and the comings and goings of professions, I'm oozing in hype because I'm setting up these guides and getting excited over what I'm going to do with my characters and this or that profession. Oh man, how am I going to organize the war bank? And that spills over to everything else that I've been seeing in the beta. So you could say that my hype isn't quite grounded in reality. So I'm wondering, with the pre-patch just around the corner, how hyped are you? If you're on break, when are you coming back? Or are you still here and you're making your 30th alt in the remix because you're going to lose your mind leveling all these characters at launch? I want to hear from you because that's always fun, but for now, let's give thanks to the incredible folks over on Twitch who've been putting up with my messing with professions and nerding out all stream. To our awesome patrons, thank you, and a shout out to the Algorithm Squad. That's you guys. Let's see some salutes over in the comments. Thank you for making it to the end, and let's get ready for the end of Dragonflight. Like the video, subscribe for more coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.